In 2016, you said that. I'm going to surround myself with only the best and most serious people.
Well, I did do that, and we had tremendous, look, we had the best economy we've ever had, the world has ever seen.
Your Vice President, Mike Pence, is running against you.
Yeah.
Your Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, she's running against you. Your former Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, said he's not supporting you. You mentioned National Security Advisor John Bolton. He's not supporting you either. You mentioned Attorney General Bill Barr, says you shouldn't be president again, calls you the consummate narcissist and troubled man. You recently called Barr a gutless pig. Your second Defense Secretary is not supporting you, called you irresponsible. This week, you and your White House called your White House Chief of Staff, John Kelly, weak and ineffective and born with a very small brain. You called your acting White House Chief of Staff, Mick Mulvaney, a born loser. You called your first Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, dumb as a rock, and your first Defense Secretary, James Mattis, the world's most overrated general. You called your White House Press Secretary, Kayleigh Canadian, milquetoast, and multiple times you've referred to your Transportation Secretary, Elaine Chao, as Mitch McConnell's China-loving wife. So, why did you hire all of them in the first place?
Because I hired 10 to 1 that were fantastic. We had a great economy. We had phenomenal people in charge of the economy. We had phenomenal people in the military. I'm not a fan of Milley, and I'm not a fan of certain of the television people. But I knocked out ISIS. I defeated ISIS. They said, Mattis, it would take 3 years, and I don't think we can do it. I did it in a period of like 4 weeks.
There's a lot of people who praise you for your policies. I just said that.
That's true. Well, I mean, you just went through a list. But don't forget, for every one you say, I had 10 that love us.
This is Fox's Bret Baier completely annihilating Donald Trump by simply listing out some of the many of the quote-unquote best people who Trump hired to work for him, only for those people to turn around and warn everybody else how dangerously incompetent he is. After all, if anybody would know, it is the best people. And of course, as Baier said at the start of this clip, Trump vowed to appoint and surround himself with those people as president, and just for posterity, it was something he repeated over and over again.
We need our best people. I know the best people. We know the best negotiators in the world. We have great people. We have the greatest business people in the world right here. Right here. We don't use them. We don't use them. We are going to start using them big league. And by the way, we don't want to ever forget, we're going to have strong borders. We're going to get the best people. We're going to make the best deals. I joke sometimes, we're going to win, and we're going to win again and again and again, and you're going to be begging me, please, Mr. Trump, please, President Trump, no more victories. We can't take any more victories. I know the best people. I know the best managers. I know the best deal makers. I know people that will make us so strong. I know guys that are so good as managers. A lot of times a deal maker isn't a good manager. And then a manager isn't a good deal maker.
So which is it? Does he surround himself with the best people, or are those people losers, idiots, and milquetoast? Because I'm starting to get some mixed signals here. Now, Trump's response is that he picked the best people at a 10 to 1 ratio. But let's remember who these people are that Bret Baier listed off. These aren't just random low-level picks. These are his top appointees for the most important jobs in the entire world. His Secretary of Defense, otherwise known as the person who literally oversees the most powerful military in the history of the planet. His Secretary of State, the president's chief diplomat representing the country across the globe. His press secretary, the person who literally speaks on his behalf on a daily basis on national television. His chief of staff, the person who oversees day-to-day operations at the White House. His attorney general, the top law enforcement official in the entire country. I mean, it just goes on and on. So for him to say, well, yeah, these were bad picks, but everybody else was fine, is just such transparent bullshit that it's almost offensive. And look, in terms of why Trump won't even offer a passing mention to acknowledge that he regrets his decisions, maybe there's some small part of him deep down that knows that these people are actually telling the truth about him. I mean, after all, they've seen him up close and personal. Hell, they've probably seen his actions as president closer than maybe any other people on the planet. And they're willing to risk their own reputations within the Republican Party to speak out against him. And not for nothing, but you're probably not looking to torch your career in Republican politics unless it's absolutely necessary. And look, none of this is to say that people like Bill Barr and Rex Tillerson and Elaine Chao are heroes or even remotely good people. It is just to say that Donald Trump is so bad, so repulsive, so dangerous for this country that even these people who have been long-time right-wing operatives doing lots of bad things for America, even they have to admit that this person they use as a vehicle for their own ambitions is actually so awful that they can't stand by him anymore. And that should really tell you everything you need to know. In fact, this isn't even new. Joe Biden used some of these quotes, particularly from military officials, in his campaign against Donald Trump back in 2020.
General John Kelly, Donald Trump's former White House chief of staff, calls Trump unhinged, said his dishonesty is astounding. General James Mattis, who served as Trump's Secretary of Defense, says Trump is dangerous and calls him unfit to be commander-in-chief. Donald Trump called those who served losers and suckers. Joe Biden believes they're heroes. The former commander of U.S. Special Operations Forces, Admiral Bill McRaven, supports Joe Biden. So does retired General Stan McChrystal, who led our forces in Afghanistan. He says, I can trust Joe Biden. 22 four-star generals and admirals say Biden would make a better commander-in-chief. It's no wonder Military Times says more active duty service members are supporting Joe Biden.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
And by the way, since 2020, there have only been more quotes like these to use, so if Trump is the nominee, I think it's safe to say we can expect more ads along these same lines. This entire situation just goes back to one fundamental trait of Donald Trump. He has to see himself as the victim. He's always under attack by some outside force. It's a witch hunt, or it's unfair, or it's whatever other nonsense he can conjure up. But over and over again, it is his own destructive, stupid, and reckless actions that are why he's constantly under siege. These are problems brought about by himself and himself alone. And to be clear, it's not just how he treats the people who worked for him. The stolen documents case being brought by the Department of Justice, including 37 federal criminal felony charges, is another example of this. If Donald Trump had just responded to the federal inquiry the same way that Joe Biden and Mike Pence did, then there would be no criminal charges today. But instead, Trump refused to hand over many of the documents, he forced the federal government to obtain a subpoena, and then still refused to cooperate, which then forced the federal government to obtain a warrant to search his home. That's what the charges are about. It's not just the documents he had, but how he refused to cooperate with law enforcement, a problem entirely of his own creation. So again, this is all self-inflicted. Donald Trump is his own worst enemy. And when even Fox, the network that was just ordered to pay $787.5 million for their dangerous lies, is calling him out to his face for how obviously dangerous he is to the country, maybe it's time to do just a little self-reflection. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to this channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.
I'm Ben Meiselas from the Midas Touch Network. Donald Trump gave an interview last night that everyone's talking about with Bret Baier on Fox. Bret Baier did an incredible job fact-checking Donald Trump and basically just having Donald Trump confess to crime after crime after crime. And with respect to Special Counsel Jack Smith's criminal case against Donald Trump, now pending in the Southern District of Florida for the willful retention of national defense information, conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and making false statements, this is evidence. This is not hearsay. Donald Trump is a criminal defendant. There's an exception to hearsay for statements made by a party opponent, and where someone in Donald Trump's position would never be deposed before a criminal trial and would almost certainly, under all normal circumstances, invoke his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. He does indeed have a right to remain silent. Here, Donald Trump just gifted Special Counsel Jack Smith confession after confession. So I want to show you right now what Special Counsel Jack Smith is going to do at the criminal trial. He's going to call up these video clips that I'm about to show you as exhibits. And he's going to go, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I want to present to you Exhibit A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. And I'll show you, I'll play the part of Special Counsel Jack Smith right now, and this is what is going to go down. Ready? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, On June 19, 2023, criminal defendant Donald Trump, on his own volition, went on Fox and had an interview with Bret Baier. Here is what went down. Remember, this is in the criminal defendant Donald Trump's own words. Exhibit A, Donald Trump says that even the New York Times said that the National Archives should have begged him for documents back. And ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is a confession. He's saying they should have begged him for the documents back that he stole. And let me remind you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, of the timeline that going all the way back to May of 2021, after Donald Trump stole these classified records and sensitive compartmented information and other top secret records back in January of 2021, the National Archives did everything it could to ask nicely, to ask politely. But Donald Trump lied to them over and over again, where finally in 2022, the National Archives, on or around February of 2022, had to refer it to the Department of Justice. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me play for you Exhibit A.
Please, could we have it back?
And they
please,
asked for that.
Because they have no. We
They
were
did
talking.
ask for it.
No, and
they said,
I gave
"Can you
them
give the
some,
documents back?"
And we were talking.
And then they said they went to DOJ to subpoena you to get them
which
back.
they've never done before.
Right. And
in
but
all
why not
fairness,
just hand them over then?
Because I had boxes. I want to go through the boxes and get all my personal things out. I don't want to hand that over to NARA yet. And I was very busy, as you've sort of seen.
Yeah, but
I've been
according to
very,
the
very
indictment,
busy.
you then tell this aide to move to other locations after telling your lawyers to say you'd fully complied with the subpoena when you hadn't.
But before I send boxes over, I have to take all of my things out. These boxes were interspersed with all sorts of things, golf shirts, clothing, pants, shoes. There were many things. I would say
Iran war
much more, not that I know of, but everything was declassified. And Biden didn't have the right to do that because he wasn't president. Nor did Mike Pence, by the way, have the right to do that because he wasn't president.
All right, I'm not going to.
And here's Exhibit B, where Donald Trump says that he believes he has the right to keep these documents. Again, another admission. Play Exhibit B.
For years, where it was very seriously classified. I have every right to have those boxes. This is purely a Presidential Records Act. This is not a criminal thing. In fact, the New York Times of all had a story just the other day that the only way NARA could ever get this stuff, this back, would be please, could we have it back?
And they
please,
asked for that.
because they have no. We
They
were
did
talking.
ask for it.
No, and
And in Exhibit C that I'm about to play, you all heard from Donald Trump's former Attorney General, Bill Barr. And Donald Trump's own former Attorney General says that Donald Trump had no right to steal these records, that Donald Trump had no right to misappropriate classified records and nuclear codes and other national defense information. But here, Donald Trump calls his own former Attorney General, Bill Barr, a coward. Play this clip.
stuff. And by the way, when Bill Barr, who's, a coward, Bill Barr was a coward. Bill Barr didn't do what he was supposed to do. I fired him, and he has great hatred, and that's okay, because some people do, and
says
some
he
people love
resigned.
me very much. He didn't resign. I asked him, give me a letter immediately, because he didn't have the courage to go after so many different things, and you and I have discussed it before, but he was a coward. And he obviously doesn't like me too much, and there are a lot of people that don't, and there are a lot of people that feel just the opposite.
But on the specific
And ladies and gentlemen of the jury, let me show you Exhibit D, where Donald Trump tries to both sides the issue and says, well, Biden refused to turn over the boxes when President Biden did turn over the boxes. And here, Donald Trump makes up a set of facts that don't exist to justify the fact that he refused to turn over the documents that he stole. Play the clip.
I'm going to belabor this.
No, but Brett,
but
when you look
I
at
want to
this,
just get to the
other
specific.
presidents, when they leave, they take the papers. They have thousands and thousands. Obama had it. Nixon had it. Carter had
Their
it. The
argument
Bushes
is that
had
these
it.
are super sensitive national security documents.
I'm
All right, so here's
I'm sure you'll
this
see
is-
real super sensitive that Biden has, because
This is-
Biden has far more than anybody's ever kept.
And he turned them over when asked.
No, he
but-
didn't.
but
He
that's
still
what
hasn't given
says.
the 1,850 boxes that's stored at the University of Delaware. In fact, they're fighting him in court,
Right.
and they're fighting him. And
But he
the
opened
boxes,
up for them to look at.
excuse me, the boxes from Chinatown, he didn't turn them over. He sent them up to his lawyer in Boston to look at before they handed him over.
And there are special counsel is looking at that, and we'll see what comes out
Well,
of it. But
you
I
can
do want to
imagine-
just
you can
end with
imagine
this. I
what's
don't want to
gonna
dwell on it, but according to
You should know what that sound means already. That's the best kind of notification. That's a sound of another sale on Shopify, and the moment another business dream becomes a reality. See, Shopify is the commerce platform revolutionizing millions of businesses worldwide. Whether you're selling shirts or coffee or cosmetics, honestly, just about anything, Shopify simplifies selling online and in person so you can focus on successfully growing your business. Shopify covers every sales channel, from an in-person POS system to an all-in-one e-commerce platform. It even lets you sell across social media marketplaces like TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. Packed with industry-leading tools ready to ignite your growth, Shopify gives you complete control over your business and your brand without having to learn any new skills in design or code. And thanks to 24/7 help and an extensive business course library, Shopify is there to support your success every step of the way. Now, we use Shopify in the Midas Touch merch store, and it's completely game changed our business. Like, it allows us to easily manage our shop, view analytics, provide the best customer service, and streamline our entire online shopping experience from A to Z. We wouldn't be able to bring you all the great products that you know and love without Shopify, and honestly, we can't speak more highly enough about them. Now it's your turn to get serious about selling and try Shopify today. This is Possibility powered by Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Midas, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Midas to take your business to the next level today. Shopify.com/Midas.
And ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I want to show you Exhibit E right now. And on Exhibit E, we've previously have played for you the audio recording. You've heard it for yourself, the audio recording from July 2021, which is in the indictment, where Donald Trump at his resort at Bedminster, New Jersey, is bragging to ghostwriters for a future book by Mark Meadows. Trump is bragging to them about these the fact that he has a classified record that he's showing them at this meeting. He's showing them at this meeting talking about war plans against Iran and saying, doesn't that make him better than Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley? And here's what Donald Trump says when confronted with this information by Brett Baier. Play the clip.
I don't want to dwell on it, but according to the indictment, you were here at Bedminster on July 21st, 2021, after you're no longer president, and you were recorded saying that you had a document detailing a plan of attack on another country that was prepared by the U.S. military for you when you were president, the Iran attack plan. You remember that?
Ready?
You were recorded.
It wasn't a document.
Okay.
I had lots of paper. I had copies of newspaper articles. I had copies of magazines.
I know.
I
This
had
is
copies of
specifically a
everything.
quote. You're quoted
And
on the
I know,
recording saying the document was secret, adding that you could have declassified it while you were president, but, quote, now I can't. You know this is still secret, highly confidential. And the indictment cites the recording and the testimony from people in the room saying you showed it to people there that day. So you say on this, on tape,
It says just the opposite.
that you can't
And let me just
declassify it,
tell
so
you,
why have it? is
When
what
I
the question is.
said that I couldn't declassify it now, that's because I wasn't president. I never made any bones about that. When I'm not president, I can't declassify.
And that's what you said. You didn't
I said
declassify it.
I said no. I said I couldn't.
I could have
but that wasn't a
declassified it.
document, Brett. There was no document. That was a massive amount of papers and everything else talking about Iran and other things. And it may have been held up or may not, but that was not a document. I didn't have a document per se. There was nothing to declassify. These were newspaper stories, magazine stories, and articles.
I'm just saying what the indictment says.
Well,
the recording
these people-
and the
look,
people in the room who
These
testified.
people are very dishonest people. They're thugs. They're thugs. If you look at what they've done, to other people, what they've done and overturned in the U.S. Supreme Court. These are thugs.
The
These are
suggestion
dishonest
was that
people.
you wanted this as evidence that the military, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Milley, had preemptively sent you plans for a possible attack on Iran and that you didn't order that to happen. That's the
I
suggestion.
never ordered it to happen, no.
But that's
No.
why you wanted the document.
I don't think I've ever seen a document from Milley. Milley, frankly, was incompetent. The last one I'd want to attack with as my leader would be Milley. That I can tell you.
All
and
right,
I think
last
you
thing
know
on
that.
this.
And now I want to show you Exhibit F, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Exhibit F, you will see Donald Trump now says that he believes his theory is that actually the Department of Justice is planting all of this. That's how it's happening. So what Donald Trump wants you to say is don't believe the text messages of his employees, like Walt Nauta, his co-defendant. Don't believe the photographs. Don't believe all the other witness statements that you've heard. He wants you to just believe his other conspiracy theory here. Play this clip.
Fought in the courts.
It's already been fought.
All right.
There's a decision strongly that you can keep. But I wouldn't have kept. But they raided my house. They came in and raided. We were discussing, having very good discussions with NARA, a radical left group, by the way. And all of a sudden, my house got raided.
Do you know if you still have any highly sensitive government documents?
No, I don't have anything, no.
Okay.
But what I'm concerned about, they took everything, right? I don't know what they took. They could be stuffing it. I don't know what they put in there. And we wanted to be there when they were taking. They wouldn't let anybody in the room. They've never treated a president like this.
And that's fair for you to point out. I guess what this points to is this recording where you said you could have declassified it when you were president. You didn't.
No,
so
I
it's
could
still
have
classified.
when I was president, but there's no document there. Those were newspaper articles.
Okay.
They were copies of articles and magazines. There was no document there. And I couldn't have done it after I was out.
This is
And here, Exhibit G, Donald Trump again lies and claims that former Vice President Mike Pence didn't turn over boxes. Play this clip.
your Vice President Mike Pence says he's, quote, deeply troubled by what's in the indictment. And he says, quote, the indictment contains serious charges and I cannot defend what's alleged.
Mike Pence had documents that were classified.
And he turned them over.
No, he didn't turn them over. He got caught. His lawyers found some documents, and then he turned them over. Why did he have them? He shouldn't be saying that because he had classified documents. And immediately they said, oh, that's okay. And I suppose it's going to be okay with Biden, too, even though he has them in Chinatown, even though he has them in Delaware, and probably 100 times more than I have.
So you're not worried about this case?
Based on the law, zero. Zero. Presidential Records Act, plus the Clinton case, which was won by Clinton as president because he took tapes of leaders in his socks. Zero.
Okay.
Zero. And every good lawyer has said it, and you've seen that. Every good lawyer has said that.
Obviously, there are others
You know what
who
the
push back. And
this
you know,
was a weaponization of politics. This was a weaponization of the White House. This was a horrible thing. A candidate that's leading, I'm leading Biden by a lot. They go out and they weaponize. This is a horrible thing that was done.
Well, let's talk about the politics.
It's never been done.
Let's talk about the politics.
And you've seen this clip before. We played it for you during our opening statement. But here, Exhibit H, I want to show you where Bret Baier plays a montage of Trump's comments about classified material from his 2016 campaign. Play the clip.
This is what you said in 2016 about handling this.
In my administration, I'm going to enforce all laws concerning the protection of classified information. No one will be above the law. We also need to fight this battle by collecting